When things opened up in the early 90s, the JDC managed to make its way to Dyatlov, Belarus, where they met my uncle. And they found that he was indigent, he was poor, he was living on a meager pension of about $40 a month. There were no other Jews living in that town. But he maintained the Jewish cemetery, and the JDC made sure that he got access to medicine and food when he needed it. About 10 years ago, another woman who was born in that town moved back from Leningrad, from St. Petersburg. So now there were two elderly Jews living in Dyatlov, Belarus. She started to receive assistance from JDC. And JDC now provides assistance to these two Jews regularly. My uncle passed away 5 years ago, but this woman whose name is Malka is still alive. And I called her yesterday to find out what her status was and what was going on. And in broken Yiddish, she said, yes, the virus has come to Belarus. It has not come to Dyatlov as of yet. She's a 92-year-old woman, and she's talking to me about the virus in mixed Yiddish. I speak no Belarusian, I don't speak Russian, so we could only speak in Yiddish. And she said, but I have the joint. And I said, what do you mean you have the joint? And she said, a woman from the joint's office in Minsk called her up 3 days ago to say that we can't send healthcare workers to bring food packages to her because of the virus, but we are able to send her a food card in the mail, and she's able to access the local supermarket in Dyatlov, Belarus, which is delivering home food to her because she's 92 and she can't leave her home. So the joint, we have a long-term view. You were talking about financial situation a little earlier. We have to have both a daily and a long-term view of everything. We provide vital services to people that without us, they have nothing. Without us, there is no one else to turn to. And what does vital mean? Food, medicine, home care, visits without which you cannot survive. So the JDC has had to turn on a dime. We had no access to these people in the 1970s, in the 1980s. And in the 1990s, we developed programs and a way of connecting with the neediest Jews around the world. And what do? You talk to them. You go, you meet them, you ask them what they need. You let them tell you what the situation is. You get your assessment based on local needs. And the JDC has been with local communities from the very beginning. And when Debbie says we're the 911 of the Jewish world, what does that mean? That means in the era of Corona, when people have no access to healthcare, when people are afraid, who do they turn to? They have no one else to turn to but us. And we're there. And how do we work? We work proactively as best we can. This is unprecedented times for everything. But in our 105-year history, we've had many unprecedented times before, including a Holocaust of our people. And it was the JDC that ran the displaced persons camps where the survivors came out. And it was the JDC that set up programs, the first programs for elderly care in Israel, the first programs to take care of Jews throughout the former Soviet Union, set up by JDC. And what are we doing today? We're taking care of the latest in the best way possible. We act proactively as best we can. In early March, we stopped traveling through the former Soviet Union. We had Jewish communities stop having meetings even before governments did so. I was just looking at the rate of infection around the world and some of the highest rising rates. You know, we got some statistics from the office from 2 days ago. As of 2 days ago, Corona in Russia was 27,938. As of today, it's 57,999. The rising rate in Ukraine, Belarus, is through the roof. They are far from peaking. What does that mean to elderly Jews, to over 80,000 elderly Jews who are in our care, who depend on us and rely on us for basic needs? It means that we have to be proactive. We have to run out and find food stocks. We have to run out and make sure they have medical protocols. They understand what needs to be done. We have to set up phone banks. We have to set up different ways of community meeting one another. And because we were there yesterday, and because we have a long-term view of things, and because we are local and with them and understand the local context of what is needed and what is taking place, we're able to move very quickly and try to take care of things before others. So we procured masks and PPE for cheseds, for the Jewish community centers, and for the healthcare workers last month, before there was a run on such equipment in the former Soviet Union. So our Jewish healthcare workers do have masks and are in the field delivering vital needs to elderly Jews as we speak. Every system, every one of our businesses, every one of our institutions is going to have to face the immediate challenge of how to act when everybody is at home, when you can't provide services. My kids have to have my grandkids at home. They're not in preschool. They're working full time with 2-year-olds running around. They're adapting. They're very lucky. We're very lucky. When I look at what's taking place in the developing world, which includes most of the former Soviet Union, they do not have the means of taking care of their populations. What does that mean to the Jewish community? They have the joint to turn to for whatever they need. And we are trying our best to procure medicines, to procure food and vital needs to distribute to people in case they're not going to be able to get it. And this is something we do all around the world in times of need and critical need. We try to be as proactive as possible, given what the local context is, and the local reality in each one of our locations is changing week to week. So you can only imagine what that reality is in a place like Kazakhstan or Belarus or parts of Siberia. So when I spoke to Malka Gittel yesterday, and I asked her what she needs, she said she doesn't need anything. I said, why don't you need anything? And she says, because I have the joint, which is there with me each and every day, and I know I can pick up the phone and get help, even though they're far away, 4 hours away in Minsk. She feels connected because of you and because of us. So in the final analysis, I say, so what do I say on the phone call tomorrow when people are going to ask me what you need as a 92-year-old woman in Dyatlovo, Belarus? She said, I just need them to know that I am okay and I am happy, and tell them thank you. Because of them, I am connected to all of you. In Israel, the JDC is networked with, you know, the full gamut of government and social service and healthcare professionals and assistants. And so from the very beginning, we worked with a group of professors to try to figure out how we can best help the most vulnerable, especially the elderly, during this situation. We're all seeing what's happening in, you know, in nursing homes across North America and the devastating impact that this is having. So in large part, because of protocols that were set up very early, healthcare workers in Israel were advised not to work between different institutions, and proper guidelines and protocols were given out throughout Israel to vulnerable populations. So we were able to be ahead of the curve on that a little.